It was supposed to be another promotional stop, the kind of appearance Mark Wahlberg had done 100 times before. He was booked on The View to discuss his latest film, a gritty biopic based on a real-life war hero. The segment was expected to include the usual light banter, a few laughs, maybe a clip from the movie, and a brief discussion on Wahlberg's career. What no one anticipated was how quickly the atmosphere would shift. The conversation started smoothly. Wahlberg entered. To a warm round of applause, flashing his familiar, confident grin, he thanked the hosts, cracked a joke about the early morning hour, and began describing the intense training he underwent for the role. The co-hosts, Whoopi Goldberg, Sarah N., Sunny Hostin, Anna Navarro, and Joy Behar, appeared engaged and friendly. That all changed when the topic veered into Wahlberg's outspoken faith and his recent remarks in an interview where he criticized Hollywood's discomfort with religion. Joy Behar leaned in, her tone casual but tinged with challenge. "So Mark," she said, "you've been pretty vocal lately about religion in Hollywood. You don't think it's a little sanctimonious to inject God into everything? Especially in this business?" Wahlberg didn't flinch. He gave her a measured look, the kind that made it instantly clear he'd been down this road before. "I don't think it's sanctimonious to talk about what's real for me," he replied. "I've made a lot of mistakes in my life. My faith turned it around. I'm not trying to force it on anyone, but I'm not going to hide it either." Behar smirked and fired back. "I mean, we're just trying to watch a movie, not go to church." The studio murmured a mix of laughter, surprise, and anticipation. Wahlberg's jaw tightened slightly. He wasn't just another actor dodging the heat. He leaned forward. "I came from a neighborhood where I was either going to end up dead or in prison. I did both. I've been there. The only reason I'm sitting here today is because of faith, discipline, and a lot of grace. If I don't talk about that, then I'm not being real with anyone, including myself." Into applause. Even a few of the other co-hosts nodded in subtle agreement, but Behar wasn't backing down. "But don't you think there's a time and place? Hollywood isn't exactly a Bible study group. Maybe leave the preaching to the preachers." Wahlberg let out a brief, dry laugh. "That's the problem, Joy. We've decided faith should stay in a box, out of sight. But then we wonder why people are lost. I'm not telling people what to believe. I'm just showing what helped me change my life. And if that makes someone uncomfortable, maybe they should ask themselves why." The tension was palpable. The live audience, sensing the raw authenticity of the moment, went quiet. Then, scattered clapping began again, louder this time, spreading like a wave through the studio. Whoopi stepped in, trying to ease the moment with a diplomatic shift. "Mark, I think what you're saying comes from your experience. It's personal, and whether people agree or not, there's value in honesty." Wahlberg nodded respectfully, appreciating the olive branch. But Behar pressed once more, attempting to recover control of the segment. "Still, there's a fine line between honesty and self-righteousness. Don't you worry that people feel judged when celebrities speak from the pulpit of fame?" This time, Wahlberg didn't hesitate. His response came swift and sharp. "There's also a fine line between asking questions and condescending people for their beliefs. I'm not judging anyone, but I won't apologize for who I am." In silence, pretending to be tolerant while ridiculing people behind their backs. Boom! It was the kind of line that doesn't just end an argument, it rewrites the room. The audience gasped, then broke into thunderous applause. The camera quickly cut to Behar, who shifted in her seat and forced a tight-lipped smile. Wahlberg, by contrast, leaned back in his chair, calm and collected. He didn't raise his voice, he didn't insult her, but he made it unmistakably clear. This wasn't a man to be cornered. This wasn't an actor playing a role. This was Mark Wahlberg, unfiltered, unshaken, and undeniably in control. And as the commercial break loomed, the segment that was supposed to be a casual promo was now the most talked-about moment on live TV. The fallout from Mark Wahlberg's fiery exchange with Joy Behar didn't end when The View cut to commercial. In fact, it had only just begun. As the producers rushed to switch cameras and pump upbeat music into the studio to ease the tension, the co-hosts were visibly scrambling to reset. Joy Behar sat stiffly, her signature grin noticeably strained as she adjusted her cue cards. Across from her, Wahlberg remained calm, sipping from his mug, exchanging a few quiet words with Whoopi Goldberg, who leaned in with a half-smile, possibly acknowledging that things had just taken a sharp and unexpected turn. Asterisk back on air, the tone had clearly shifted. The conversation moved to Wahlberg's film, and though the actor spoke professionally and kept the focus on the project, the electricity from the earlier clash still hung in the air like a live wire of what had just taken place. Co-hosts like Sarah N. and Sunny Hostin kept their questions light, careful not to wade into controversial waters, while Behar offered only tight-lipped nods and the occasional polite chuckle. Asterisk, but the real storm was brewing off-screen. Asterisk, within minutes, social media exploded. Clips of Wahlberg's.com yet pointed takedown of Behar were clipped and circulated across every major platform. Hashtags like hashtag Wahlberg Unfiltered, hashtag The View Showdown, and hashtag JoyV's Mark trended worldwide. Viewers were sharply divided. Some praised Wahlberg for standing his ground and speaking from the heart, while others criticized what they called his moral grandstanding. But one thing was certain: everyone was talking about it. Asterisk, many viewers applauded Wahlberg, not for being combative, but for staying composed and respectful in a setting where emotions often boil over. He didn't shout. He didn't belittle. He just spoke truthfully. One user posted on X, formerly Twitter, racking up thousands of likes. Another user wrote, "You could see Joy was trying to corner him, and he handled it like a boss. No yelling, just facts." Asterisk, some even went as far as calling it a masterclass in public discourse, pointing out that Wahlberg never veered into personal attacks, even as Behar's tone grew increasingly sarcastic. He made his point without ever disrespecting her. One comment read, "That takes real character." Asterisk, meanwhile, fans and fellow celebrities began weighing in. Country singer John Rich tweeted support for Wahlberg's stance, calling it rare courage in Hollywood. Several conservative commentators lauded Wahlberg for pushing back against what they described as Hollywood elitism. Behar's defenders insisted that she was simply doing her job, challenging a guest's public statements, and argued that Wahlberg had overreacted. Asterisk, but for most viewers, the moment transcended politics. It was about authenticity. Wahlberg had spoken from experience, not from a rehearsed soundbite. He didn't shame anyone else's beliefs. He simply refused to water down his own. Asterisk, backstage after the segment. Tension. Wahlberg reportedly shook hands with several of the hosts, but did not engage in much small talk. Joy Behar, meanwhile, was said to be visibly frustrated as she returned to her dressing room. According to a production assistant, "You could tell she wasn't expecting that. She usually controls the tone of the table, but not this time." Asterisk, the next day, The View opened their show with a quick recap of the previous episode. Whoopi addressed the exchange briefly, saying, "Sometimes conversations get passionate. That's part of what we do here. Perspectives. And yesterday we saw that play out in real time." Asterisk, Behar did not offer a direct follow-up, but the tension lingered in the way the show pivoted hard toward celebrity gossip and lighter fare. Wahlberg, for his part, posted a short video to Instagram, thanking The View for having him on and reminding fans to check out his film. "We had a good, honest conversation," he said. "That's what it's about. We can disagree, but we should always keep it respectful." Asterisk, the post was flooded with supportive comments. "You handled that like a real man," one wrote. "Respectful, strong, and truthful. Hollywood needs more of you." Asterisk, in the end, the clash between Mark Wahlberg and Joy Behar wasn't just a viral moment, it became a symbol of something bigger. The ongoing struggle between celebrity culture, personal conviction, and the increasingly hostile terrain of public discourse. Wahlberg didn't come on The View looking for a fight, but when challenged, he stood his ground. Not with rage, not with mockery, but with the kind of calm confidence that made it clear he wasn't there to asterisk